Hi, thanks for joining me. Today, we're going to be talking through the post of the new normal, smartphone technology and its impact on logistics of healthcare. Now, we're going to be taking a brief look at the importance of adaptable remote smartphone technology in healthcare and the implications this can have for lysosomal disease patients, and particularly within the context of the current global predicament that is COVID-19. Now, lysosomal disease patients face many challenges. And as I mentioned before, these challenges have been compounded by the COVID-19 pandemic. Now, rare diseases, as it stands, are quite often overlooked within that drug development space. And even orphan drug designation, the complexity of the rare disease space is not fully understood. And this can hinder that drug development process that occurs in the rare disease world. Now, for lysosomal diseases specifically, and particularly those with a neurological indication, the drug development is even more stagnant. And this is indicated by research which has shown the proportion of drugs with clinical studies that have a neurological endpoint granted by the FDA approval or orphan drug designation are few and far between. And this is something that needs to change. One of the big challenges is the size of patient populations. And this can be very difficult because the rarity of these diseases to get enough patients to be recruited in the clinical studies. And this can lead to many delays as studies come to the market. Now, the wide-ranging impact of the COVID-19 pandemic has been displayed by the fact that a staggering 905 clinical trials were halted between March and April during the COVID-19 pandemic last year. And following on from this pandemic, vulnerable patients, which the lysosomal disease patients are, have been unable to access care that they once were able to enjoy freely. And there have been studies that have shown that patients did not attend healthcare centres out of fear of contracting the disease. And this is something that needs to be addressed moving forward. Now, adaptive healthcare for patients is vital. And the COVID-19 pandemic has highlighted the importance of responsive and adaptive healthcare frameworks. And in this case, a model that's able to safeguard patients from contracting the disease without actually compromising the quality of care that's delivered to them. We need to be able to see how their disease within themselves is progressing without putting them at risk of contracting COVID-19. And this is where remote patient monitoring can be vital in the form of a smartphone app paired with a wearable device, because the data you can collect is huge. You're able to collect not just physiological status, you can collect psychosocial and also motor function. And this can enable you to get a true global picture of the impact the disease has on an individual. And the data derived from this technology can be used to observe the rate of progression and show differences between patients who may be undergoing treatment, and also help you tailor that treatment for those patients. And by capturing it in real time, 24 hours a day, you have instant analysis, instant access, rather than waiting to bring patients into a clinical setting, which means there can be delays and understanding the impact of a disease on an individual. Now, the technological adaptations in clinical studies needs to be addressed. Now, for us, what we're seeing is there will be a different landscape within clinical trials post-COVID. And we hope that these changes that have happened will be adopted long-term and not just utilized during the pandemic months. As we recover, the utility of remote patient monitoring will be much more apparent, and it will be too difficult to ignore the benefits that you can get and the results that come from having this added as a key element of healthcare frameworks going forward. The benefits of technology, particularly for vulnerable patient groups such as lysosomal disease patients, is evident, and it should be made much more widely available to them to improve their treatment outcomes. Thank you very much for listening.